Mud Splatter takes the lead. The Good Fight coming out after it. The Good Fight moves up though. The Good Fight ranges up, moves up. The Sweet Thomas lays in, but the Good Fight's going to win and outstay them. The Good Fight a half length Sweet Thomas.
Welcome to Bet Doctor, behind the curtain look at how pro punters operate. I'm your host, Scoot. I've got DK, the punter's punter.
Scooty, here we are. Just another week in racing, mate. Another quiet week. Nothing happening.
No, not much going on. We're in the depths of winter. It's absolutely freezing. I'm still trying to thaw out. Nico, Noonan, don't worry about thawing out. You are white hot. Welcome back.
Yeah, good week. Last week, finding Good Fight on the show, so hopefully can continue that form into Saturday.
$14, I think, when you tipped it up, but I took 17 on the day, and it got me out of a bit of a hole, and I kicked back for the weekend, which is great.
I was buried in Maui, so I wasn't really watching. I saw bits and pieces of Flemington and that, but I saw the conditions, what the conditions were about when they ran to the barriers for that race.
Perfect setup.
And I thought, Nico's horse will be on it, because from what I saw in New Zealand, it just wanted the wetter the better.
It just started pouring rain. Yeah. The mounting out of the race 7 or race 8 or whatever it was, I thought, this is perfect.
Beautiful.
And
the way the race panned out was a slug. And so I knew at the 400, I'm like, Nico's going to...
And Mellon rode it like a strong stayer, getting it out, blending in.
Yeah, I was definitely riding at home on the couch with Mellon. I would have exceeded the whip strikes for sure. I absolutely belted it home, so good result there.
Geez, we got a bit of feedback on our sports show yesterday in the YouTube comments. Someone said that you're a bit stiff not to make the Little Birdie Hall of Fame with the $75 double. You had Fury and into the Good Fight. So hopefully someone out there has taken the Nick Noonan double at 75 to 1. But even yesterday with the Mounting Yard mail pack, 40 to 1, Rock in the Park. You weren't done.
It was looking a bit cast early. Sandown's a really hard track sometimes on the Wednesday. So coming there to race 7, I thought, this horse can probably outperform his SP. And then sort of 300 out, I think, geez, this thing's going to win. And then brought it home as well. So it's been a few good days.
Found the line like a nice. I said, what's this thing? Because what Jake Gatsby, whatever it was, just looked home and hosed. Poor old Ollie. But anyway. Just another bad beat for Ollie. But
our man
Ollie. Anyway, we'll talk about him later on. But geez, it'll be winning more races this prep, that horse.
Yeah, for
likely
sure.
Racing ex-New Zealander.
$22 if you want Nico's stuff in the Little Birdie.
He's in the zone, as we know. We talk about peaks and troughs, and
he's back.
He's
just got to hang in there.
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference. And we spoke a little bit about mental game. I think the difference between pro gamblers and not is bank management, staking, and then handling losing runs. So if you can manage your bank and stake correctly, you can have a bad patch and still survive. And here's Nico out the other side, and he's starting to lob his value tips. So you just got to keep your head and don't get on the chase.
The whole point about that is staying in the game. Okay, you've got to stay in the game. Just down at the local footy the other week, the Heights, watching them against Marby Park, and they kicked 3 goals for 3 quarters, but they were just hanging in there. The other joint were 5 goals in front, but they were just hanging in, playing tough. 6 goals in the last quarter. They actually drew the game, but they just kept hanging. And it's just that similar theory. You got to keep yourself in the contest.
Well, it's like the bulldozer stream at the Bull. We had a rough few days, and then we managed to scrape ourselves out of a really big hole. And you just need to be patient, and wait, and strike. Like when the right sort of races pan out. And each race is a completely different scenario. So if you're not confident, you got to chip down.
Yeah, that's
Live
right.
to Fight Another Day is it's a great pearl.
And there's races every day. And, as I said in the last one, I did a bit of a dry trot during July, backed a few losers in a row. But then I went, as I said, I do reflection, found some common denominators amongst those losers that were probably negatives that I probably overlooked in the height. You sort of get a thing, you say, this will win, but you look for the positives, and then upon reflection, you look for the negatives to say, why to get beat and things like that. So, and then on Tuesday, there was a race there that I intended it so on the show, been losing, better chip down. But then I got to a race where
found an edge. Yeah.
Found a big edge.
Yep.
So had to put the maximum into the race. So they just pop. You just got to be patient, wait. Like one of those races hadn't popped up for a month, maybe.
You got to trust your processes as well.
Exactly. It's easy to just deviate.
Yeah, exactly. So if you've got these certain things set in line, I want to find these kind of horses, and they're not winning. While, over a period of time, if you're winning finding those horses, it'll turn. It's just variance, really.
And you don't know, like I did that race, Tuesday, I did it on Friday. And so you mark top pick, second pick, think what odds they're going to be. And then, okay, well, if they put up evens and $5 like they probably should have, then it's okay. It's just another normal race.
As soon as you get 90,
well, they put up
$5 a place.
Put up $31 a second pick. Like then you say, hello, here we go. Now what are we going to do here? So we've got to open the shoulders here, and and try and make this a big result.
The mark was rock solid to Phoenix late. Like, it wasn't like we just was 20s into 5 because DK's army was on. Like, that was the right price, $5, wasn't it?
Yeah. So anyway.
Looks like the week off is going to, well, it's up in limbo at the moment. Everyone's in lockdown, and I see D. Bridie jumps on racing.com and says that the week off next week couldn't come at the worst time. They've picked the absolute horror time for the whole season of the card. He can't get his head around it, and he wants punters to carry the can and bet for another week. So he wants to put the work back on you, DK. He wants you to bet and save the industry with your turnover.
He was right. He knows, but he knows. He like unlike Natalie Young and all that, you know, he knows turnover is the king of the industry. You know, but as I said, it's just another week in racing. It was just another week where New South Wales announces a pop-up race and Victorian trainers just blew every day. So, it was some of the language is what did he say last night? Insane. Shane Nichols, bizarre. It's the most bizarre thing they've ever seen. The most insane thing they've ever. Look, this was announced 18 months ago. The trainers were canvassed prior to that. So 57% of them agreed to it or something. And it's as though they've just flipped the page on the calendar and said, oh, shit, there's no racing next week. We were talking about it a month ago, about what we're going to do that week. How many lunches we were going to get in, where we're going to put in the week. But as though they turned the page on the calendar, you know. So anyway.
I think the thing that's a bit baffling is there's no jump outs or trials. Like, I know they want a week off.
You still need horses ticking over.
We've got like group racing this week at Caulfield. There's so many lead-up races for these sort of late season 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds coming up soon for, lead-ups to the Caulfield Guineas. You got the McNeil coming up soon. I heard Sam Friedman sort of talking about that, especially for a lot of these higher class horses who would be sort of at the jump outs and trials this week. I think that's a big sort of thing to take into account.
You can't win. I know your dad's a trainer and things like that. And I've got friends who are trainers. But, I mean, they blew about too much racing.
Right.
Now they're blowing that they can't race. So they just can't. You just can't win. Look, and the similarities in Hong Kong there, I wish people would stop doing that. I mean, they don't race in Hong Kong.
It's completely different beast.
It's typhoon season. It's not safe to race. It's pissing down rain, the bloody monster, all that. So, they're not having 2 months off.
And they don't have half the amount of horses that we have here.
Yeah. No, exactly.
So look, I don't think it'll happen again. But as I said last week, what are we going to do? We can't do anything because we're.
Would they be bluing as much if we weren't in lockdown? I think that's probably the main thing that's come up.
Meetings are being called. We're losing meetings because all the tracks are underwater, things like that. So anyway, I don't know what I'm going to do. I was looking forward to a couple of lunches, scooting, and we stuck at home with the missus and I love my missus and kids, but stuck in in lockdown with them is can be testing at times.
It was interesting on Sunday at Pakenham. I was really impressed by the jumps punters. They seemed to absolutely nail the market. So I think Kieran Maher had a handful of winners. Pateman was on fire. Oh, my apologies. I thought Britannicus was a better chance. I did my ass on that. And the steeplechasers were a bit new to him. And he'll probably be better next year and maybe at Oakbank. But I couldn't believe how short some of these jumpers were. And they just absolutely pissed in. Bookies would have done their and layers just would have absolutely done their life at Pakenham. It was great to see, but I was just amazed at how accurate they were. It was crazy.
Deep into the jump season, so they're very exposed, a lot of these jumpers, which I think is probably the key to a lot of these races.
Is it a social element thing? He won by, didn't he? He won by 20 lengths to start before. And
they know when the other good jumpers are off though as well. Like horses but some of these very good horses that just express out like a blaze and all those sort of things. The market knows. It's white hot.
And it's a bit of a flat track bully track, Pakenham as well. Like, you can put up big margins on that track. We've seen it before. Horses win by 30, 40 lengths there because it's so flat. So if you have a bit of flat ability, plus you can jump, it takes them a long way compared to when they're running at Casterton and races like that.
They're up and down
the hills, and you got to really jump the fences. Whereas tracks like Pakenham, they can put up huge margins there, the horses with ability.
Yep.
I think it's Spring Carnival's on sort of on a knife edge for crowds, I feel, just the way things are sort of developing in the press. You listen to guys like Brett Sutton. There's all this talk about staying in your zones. For sporting events, there's going to be no food at the MCG. I think guys like Michael Brow, Josh Blanksby, the guys at Flemington and any racetrack around Victoria would be... they'd be in all sorts of trouble. I know that the Caulfield guys have been doing the ring around to try and get more people to jump on board their memberships and stuff. I renewed mine, but I'm not confident. I'm not confident of going to much sport for the next 6 months. And I think we're in a really precarious situation here. And, you sort of reported how it was at Warrnambool, Nico, like with the zones and stuff like that. It's very off-putting for me. If my mates are somewhere else, or if I have to stay in one sort of certain zone, it's all too hard to throw hands up in the air, and I won't bother going. I'll just sit on the couch.
Yeah, exactly. For someone like me who goes to the races probably 3-4 times a week, usually I'll just go anyway, no matter where they sort of put me, because that's just how I sort of operate, doing the mounting yard and all that. But if you're like, say, like you, Scoot, you only go a few times a year and they put you in zone 2 and you want to be in zone 1 and all your mates are in zone 1, it makes things hard. Probably the good thing with racing, if they do go back to zones, we have done zones. Most of the big races sort of in the autumn were zoned. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the procedures and that they already would have in place and would be just sort of tinkering with a few things. Yep. So
just a nightmare for planning. Like, just Cup Week, the planning and the man hours that have got to go in and the preparation that have got to go into Cup Week, and yet it can all just turn to shit with a couple of imbecile removalists coming down here and just infecting everyone.
Not going to go away though, DK.
No, that's what I'm saying. So it can happen like the flip. Not just talking about them, but it can happen again and again, and it can leak out of a bloody hotel, and some limo driver is not wearing his mask and for driving people from the airport. It's just I feel sorry for anyone trying to get going on big sporting events and things like that. It's just so tentative,
It's lucky that I think Racing Victoria had that big pool of cash. I think they had 100 or 90 million in the bank, and I think that'd be starting to disappear super, super quick.
Maybe. I haven't seen where to spend any of it. I don't know prize money.
Well, it's interesting. Like, prize money still keeps going up, but these clubs might need a bailout soon, because the events and all the hospitality on course, that's their lifeblood. So how long can this continue for? It's a real tricky one.
Poor old Mildura. I mean, Mildura's...
Well, that's Cactus. There's another Country Cup Carnival. Ridiculous.
Refunding all the marquees and everything. Swan Hill. Anyway.
So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how far removed from the Spring Carnival we are. You were on the couch last night watching The Bachelor.
Yeah, that was big.
Yeah, have you got a little early tip?
No, didn't mind the... there was a couple of good... The one who took him to a drink at the bar, whatever her name was.
Was it Holly?
Yeah, that was a good idea.
Yeah.
Get him over for a glass of wine, and that was a good play. But yeah, that was good. Mrs. The Bachelor into Legally Blonde. That was big last night.
Just got handled.
Got hold of the TV by about 10:30 to watch the second half of the Matildas. But that's all right. That's what we do to keep, as you young blokes will learn, keep the ship smooth at home. It's very important.
Nico's
you just concede on little things
yet.
like that. You don't know yet. But
I was
pick your battles.
I was too busy doing Mildura form, so no Bachelor for me.
Yeah, I sort of found Holly off the first few birds that walked in, and Alana said, what price do you think? Because I'm converting my partner into a punter. And then I saw one of the markets out there at $1.50. I thought, everyone's found this. It's just too obvious. And sometimes, Sports Better or a couple of bookies will just put up the obvious favourite and try and suck people in. But I thought Lily was probably, I think the chick that come in the hot air balloon, I think she's around $10. So if I had to go outside the obvious Holly, I'd probably spec Lily at $10. But let's have a look at today's show. We've got Mildura Cup on tomorrow, and Nico's going to do a set from there. He's going to have a look at the Bletchingley at Caulfield. Beat the Bagman is going to talk about Morfettville. It's on for young and old over there. It's Todd Pannell versus Jess Eaton. There's not much in the jockey premiership. It's going to come down to the wire there. And we got Perla back. We got Mark Lambourne. We got one of racing's deepest thinkers to
been very active on the Twitter sphere the last 24 hours or so.
Yeah, he's talking about market fluctuations and
everything.
All sorts. So we'll get his insights there. We're all about puntingform.com.au. We've got sectional pro form accounts, and you can get it too at home. $2.97 if you are locked down and want to learn how to do the form better, especially coming into spring. You don't have to listen to us all the time. You can go out and do it yourself with puntingform.com.au. It's a database that lives in the cloud, so you can keep all your notes on there. So it's sectional times and benchmarks. It's fantastic stuff. I can't breathe without it. Make sure you give them a go. We'll take a quick break, and we'll get Shane Adair. We'll get Beat the Bagman and talk Adelaide next. Welcome back to Bet Doctor, behind the curtain look at how pro punters operate. I'm your host, Scoot. I've got DK in studio, Nick Noonan, and we've just put up the picture of D. Brightyoak. I think he's our favourite trainer. We might get the boys from Roll the Dice Racing to send him a horse. But what's going on over in SA, Bagman? You're in lockdown, you poor bugger.
Certainly. G'day, guys. How you going? We thought we'd join our Victorian compadres for another lockdown. So, as I said to you off air, Bagman schooling's in full swing. Probabilities and percentages of Sandown yesterday. The kids love that. And we might do a bit of an art class this afternoon, design some jockey silks. Real racing twist to education. I'm sure the teachers are going to love it when they go back.
So what's happening over there? The races were on, they're off, and now they're back on. What's doing?
Yeah, the initial call on when the lockdown was announced was Gawler would be off. Saturday was pending. I think the Racing SA lobbied the government quite hard overnight, and Saturday's races have been saved. So thank God for that. So we've got something to watch on Saturday and something to bet on. But look, I think racing's done really well through this period. They've got a good strike rate, and it would have been probably quite an easy sell to the government to say, look, we've done it before, we can do it again.
Are they fair income?
Science. It's scientific. Wasn't safe, and now it is.
Australian government not have planned for stuff that was going to happen if there was a lockdown? Like racing in every other jurisdiction's gone on. So when it came up a month ago or 2 months ago, if we go into lockdown, racing will be able to keep on going. The fact that they've had to make all these decisions on the run late, I mean, that's just so backwards.
If you haven't figured it out, they're useless. We've had 18 months to figure it out, and they still can't figure it out. They're legless. Anyone that relies on the government for anything, which we all are at the moment, are doomed.
Fair income.
Couldn't run a chook raffle.
So when Bagman came on and said, some chance Saturday's off, I said, what the hell for? Because the government hasn't given the bloody permissions to racing to keep going yet during lockdown.
I just said,
fair income? These are people?
I wish all the people in the public service would bet. Because they got no idea.
We're lucky.
They're absolute pickles.
Pakula bets. We're lucky about that. Pakula does bet.
Pickle.
He loves racing.
Let's try and find a winner, and we'll put a positive slant on this Morphett Field race number 4. It's the TopSport handicap over 1,200 metres, and Michael Hickmott has got the favourite here, and it's going to be an absolute sluggathon. Eaton versus Pannell all afternoon. Pindaric is a favourite here, $3.40 into $3. Street Tough. This is a nightmare horse for Bagman. $3.70, sorry. Dexalation, $5. Extreme Thrill, not getting many of those at the moment. $9. Sir Galahad, $10. Flying Award from the Abyss. Maybe it's ready to peak, $12. I thought it was going to loom up last start. Aguilette is $14. Street Life, $21. Usain Bowler, still going around $67. And Harbouring, $101. Bagman, we're going to have a look at Pindaric, who's won 5 on the trot now.
Don't know how you found this, Bagman.
I'm not sure why we actually want to watch this again, seeing Street Toughs in this event. But, just feel the pain one more time. Here comes Pindaric, though, and those Michael Hickmott white silks. Look, sat 3 deep for the run. Kicked really well at the top of the straight. It's won 5 from 5. I think Street Tough will be heading to Mildura for the Cup on Friday, and looks a really good chance in that event. I don't think this field's any harder than Pindaric actually beats the other time at Murray Bridge. I think Dexalation is probably the only real threat to it. I think it'll be improved second up. As I said earlier, 5 from 5 is a fantastic effort. I think it will only get better as this prep goes on. He looks a good horse in the making. Still does a lot wrong. So I think there's still plenty of lengths improvement in Pindaric. Jess Eaton needs a winner. Michael Hickmott needs a winner. I think we'll be winning with Pindaric.
We need a winner as well.
Yeah, well, I think if Street Tough's going to Mildura, Dexalation, some chance coming in the Bletchingley, I suppose, is it? Has it been announced where it's going yet?
Not sure.
Just one thing I noticed there, I don't follow the jockeys in South Australia a lot, but I know Jess Eaton's going really well. Just seeing her with a whip in the left there on that horse. Gee, that's as strong as a female you'd see with a whip in the left. Yep. Like, you can see her riding's come on in leaps and bounds, but gee, she looked good there.
I think that's something I look for in a lot of these horses that lay in. Like, She rode the horse last start, laid in there. She had to switch the whip through to the left. Like, she might just start with the whip in the left this time and sort of, that she might have lost 2 lengths laying in that sort of first initial period. So, jockeys that have the sit on horses like this and have a good sort of association with them, they can definitely improve them for sure.
I love just the jockey change on the horses like that to Jay Allen or C. Newitt or to Declan Bates.
Strong rider.
Oh, with the whip in the left. They can improve lengths. And Yenda went on that thing yesterday. He's not so much, but he's just a strong rider than Ayuska. And he said, he was expecting to lay and put the whip in the left, and then he went right on him and went straight with that near side blink.
Might be the first horse ever to improve with J Car off.
Yes.
Yeah, the Victorian J Car, as PBL says. On the last race of the card, we're going to have a look at Morpheville as well. Bagman's found another one here in the Pike Joyce Handicap. Capricorn Ridges open up favourite 420 to 320. The fighter $4. Melody Man, a horse that we're on last time, 420 out to 460. Wow, it was some run. She's a Karaka, $9. Tibetan, $9.50. Get in the queue. I think this horse was Scratch, wasn't it, from Flemington over the weekend. $10. Swift Shore, $14. Campo Basso, $20. Brilliant Venture, 26 with star status, and much, much better the rest. We're going to put ourselves through the pain, and we're going to have a look at...
Chasing his money here, Bagman.
Yeah,
He's chasing his
cash.
money.
Yeah, that's right.
Melody Man.
I'm on tilt, mate. I'm on tilt.
John Barrier 15 here in the Jake Stevens Alco Pop colours. We see it flash home here.
Yeah, it's a good run this day at Murray Bridge. As I said last time I was on with Melody, we tipped Melody Man. I keep following this horse through this preparation. Third up last time, I went to 1800, Todd Pannell Road. It won by the length of the straight. This time we're third up, 1800, Todd Pannell rides again. So I think it's going to be right in the finish. I think Barrier 15 will suit it come the last race of the day. It's absolutely pouring outside. We'll probably be on a heavy track, I would imagine, on Saturday. So that I would expect the rail to chop out through the meeting. I think 15 will be probably an advantage come around 4:30 in the afternoon. I think it's a star of some promise. It's bred to get a trip. I think it will be winning as well. I took 650 with the odds boost yesterday. I'm sitting in a good position, so come on, Melody Man.
Little bit of grubbery from Bagman. I think we touched upon it last time he tipped this horse. It was staying at the 1400, and we did say, will it be better next time at 1800?
In the conversation about that horse, all of us had last time, we said if there was any vulnerabilities, it was the fact it was staying at 1400, and it ran really well. So
yeah, it ran super.
1800's right in its wheelhouse.
Good point about the track chopping out as well.
Now, what about this? I know it's probably coming to Melbourne, but what about this Capricorn Ridge at Ballarat? It was a dead set wowee.
Through the roof.
Unbelievable.
Rated through the roof.
Like it's on a bog track, 2,000 metres plus. Like I don't know if it'll be wet enough at Caulfield, and if it was going over there, it was coming back in trip. But geez, any time it's up in distance on a bog track,
you want to be with it.
Unbelievable, mate. It's a different horse. It just went like a dead set rocket.
Yeah, they went I think they went over 11 lengths above to the 600 metre mark. So they've done a lot of work early. He still ran the fastest last 200 of the meeting after doing all the early
the margins, and it was just, I was like, what's this horse?
I think there's probably an opportunity to back him if he comes to Melbourne and hope for that, and he just ship up Melody Man if he's out too.
If he ever gets over a mile and a half on anything up over an 8 track.
Well, that's what Melbourne will be on Saturday. He's over 2,400.
Is it 2,400?
In a 3-year-old race, 2,400.
Oh, well, he wouldn't, and if it's wet,
let's hope he goes to Melbourne. We can back him and we can. Did
you see it, Bagman? Did you see it? You'd know the horse from over there.
Yeah, absolute peak rating, as you said, DK, last start. That was monstrous. It's
but it did it on its ear.
Can it go that good again? That's the only trick.
I think it's the first real time on a real wet track over that trip. So I just think that might be its go, you know. But yeah, you'd say, it's going to regress or something like that, but I don't think it will. I might regress a little bit because it's not same track and distance and all that sort of stuff, but I'm thinking going ahead in the future, this horse is going to be winning a lot of races over that similar.
Fighter probably looks a weak spot in the market, doesn't he, Bagman?
Something to like.
And we know Fighter well, don't we,
definitely.
Bagman?
Yeah, I know. As we've had a couple chats offline about Fighter. I think it's under the odds currently at around that sort of 420, 440 mark. I'd be happy to lay it. It wasn't that impressive last start getting its maiden out of the way.
Having a look at the SA Metro Jockey Premiership, we've got odds courtesy of TopSport on the screen. Todd Pannell, $1.65. Jess Eaton, $2.25. A few weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, you said that a very smart punter had launched into Todd Pannell. He has shortened since you mentioned that. And how do you think it's going to play out? Is Jess any chance here to spoil the party? Who would you be betting on now?
Well, Todd Pannell has the luxury of the, more seconds, so would win on a count back. So there's a slight advantage there for Todd Pannell. But just going through the markets, Jess Eaton rides currently 2 favourites. Todd Pannell, none at the moment. So, look, Jess is really going to make a throw at the stumps, I reckon, this weekend and try and put a gap between herself and Todd. Look, it's going to go right down to the wire. Probably at those markets, you have a probably slight leaning to Jess now at the 220 price. But, it's anyone's race. What's your thoughts, Skeet?
They get another meeting in, is it? There's another meeting before the end of the month.
There
after
is.
Saturday.
Yeah, there's still one more. So, yeah, 2 to go, DK.
2 to go. Right.
31st next Saturday.
31st, last day of the month.
Yeah.
That'll be good.
Grandstand finish.
Grandstand finish.
It's going to be great. All right. Oh, no, I've got no idea, mate. No, you're the expert there, and I think it's like flip of the coin. The market probably, you could probably just trade it out, I guess, but I wouldn't be betting in it.
Yeah, I think the good thing about this one is they're tied to the camp, they're tied to the informed good camps, which is different to the jockey premierships we have over here, where they're all trying to get rides from here, there, and everywhere. Well, here they're associated with these top stables who gun trainers had a great year themselves to train their main supporters, and had seen the jockeys fight out the premiership. So
Heathcote looks like he's got an army there on Saturday.
He does.
Next Saturday, Clarkin might be producing all his horses to win the last day. So.
That's right. Yeah, so that adds to it. Really, it does.
It's a good little story in amongst it, that is for sure. All right, we got hopefully a couple of winners there. We're chasing out money with one of them, but best of luck this Saturday, Bagman, and hopefully a couple of winners here, and the Brownlow's pretty much yours.
That's the plan, Scoot. We're peaking for the end of the premiership, just like Jess Eaton and Todd Pannell. So hopefully 2 winners on Saturday, and hopefully we get through this lockdown all right. I'm
sure you'll be fine. All right, that's a wrap from us, and a big thanks to Bagman. Up next, we'll talk Mildura Friday. It's Cup Day there, so Nico Noonan has got a special Manning Yard set. So if you want to jump into Little Birdie shop, you'll get all his insights for Mildura. So we don't really know what's going to happen next week, so he's going to throw in a bonus Mildura pack for tomorrow. So make sure you check that out. We'll take a break, and we'll preview a race at Mildura, and then have a look at the Bletchingley next. Welcome back to Bet Doctor. Behind the curtain, look at how pro punters operate. I'm your host, Scoot, got DK, and Nico Noonan is about to sink his teeth into his best bet for Mildura tomorrow. We're going to have a look at race 4, the Trentham Estate Golden Goblet. That sounds right up DK and I's alley there.
Trentham Estate goes right, the Trentham Estate.
I've never tried it.
No, nor have I, but I'm tipping it does.
Need to get around it, get us through this lockdown. We'll have a look at the market here. Odds courtesy of TopSport. Zootons is favourite, 280 into 270. Bravo, 550, Rolling Moss 650, Bonjour 850, Dinger $9, Early Plea 9, Long Duan $12, Upper East Side 12, and Caravan Pearl $16. The win that we're going to have a look is Zootons back in December. Nico, you going a few starts back here?
Yeah, well, this is what is going to be a very similar setup to Saturday's. Back in the yellow colours, King Callow just back on the fence there. So I think this will be similar to how he sees the race on Friday, I should say. Long Juan, Early Plea, Rolling Moss all have really good speed. He's drawn barrier number 4. He should just come in for the trail in behind him and then just show a good turn of foot like he had shown on this day. He bumped into Dana Point, who actually has some ability. She came out of this race, I'm pretty sure, won her next start, or at least dead heated at Mornington. You see Callow getting the best out of him, mate. This has always been a horse who's shown a lot of ability. I didn't think he was going to race here in Australia. I thought the early sort of rumour was he was going to Hong Kong. Ended up debuting at Bendigo, was smashed in the betting, ran a really good figure. That was his first up win last preparation. Like I said, very similar setup to here. He gets 1,000 metres at Mildura. It looks good early speed. He'll probably just come back in a pair behind that. Harry Coffey's riding very well at the moment. This will be a carnival he's probably set himself for, like Swan Hill. So he'll be up for that, and I think this horse just gets a lovely run. Yeah, I thought anything sort of over $2.20 was very backable. I thought it'd be very hard to beat. The jump out leading into this was outstanding, like you would expect from a short course sprint. He jumped out against Coleridge. Coleridge. He runs earlier in the program as a short price favourite, so you'll get a little guide there. If he comes out and wins, you can probably have more confidence that was a real strong heat. Thought the danger may be Bonjour, who comes over from New Zealand, got back and hit the line there in a few of his replays over there. He's got a big turn of foot, had a recent jump out at stall, which looked pretty sharp. He may be the best of the closers, but I think Zooton's definitely looking to max bet him. I think he's the best bet of the weekend.
Thoughts, DK? Have you had
I know Zooton's, yeah. So he's he went pretty quick on debut, I remember, when there was a heap of money for him.
Huge rating.
And then, so they rode him with the sit when Callow won on him there. And they also, when he won at Kilmore, I think he was in the box seat as well. And I think that's why they're running him at 1,000, get the speed on, that he can park behind him and dash through. So he looks like, he's a nice one. I remember his mother, Megton or whatever it was. She won 5 races. She was a good mare, and I think the family, Brendan Herbst and that just trained from the family. Brav Row and Rolling Moss are all just much of a muchness. As I thought maybe the Prushka ex-New Zealand horse, which you said Bonjour was the query runner.
To 270 early could be a bit of value, as Nico suggests. The racing returns to Caulfield on Saturday. It looks a tricky car, but it's good to see a race like the Bletchingley. It's a good signal that the good races are just around the corner. Let's have a look at the odds, courtesy of TopSport, and last start winner. Red Can Man is the favourite here at $4.40. Viridine, $5. The Astrologist, straight track specialist, that horse, $5.50. Asaurian, $6. Streets of Avalon is an absolute Caulfield specialist too, $7.50. Order of Command, $11. Sansom, $11. Dexalation, as we mentioned before. Will it start over here? $21. William Thomas, $31. Brave Song, $34. Innkeeper, $34. Secret Blaze and I Am Someone round out that market. But the replay we're going to have a look at here is Viridine, Nico, and you've triggered me a little bit. Ollie.
We're reliving some bad beats this morning here on the replays, aren't we? But this was, I think, something beaten. You see him in the blue colours there, back in the Godolphin silks. He tries to go to the outside and has absolutely no luck, so he has to come back in. Savage as a line, absolutely savage as a line. His last 200, 5.5 lengths above, second fastest last 200 metres of the race. This was over 1,100 metres at Caulfield. Now he steps up to the 1,200. He won this race last year off a very similar sort of setup. And he's a great wet tracker. I think getting back onto the wet track is going to be the key. That was a good fall there, that race. So you look at that race and you go, oh, okay, Red Ken Man looked like he got back to his best form and showed that ability shown in Perth. His first up run here in Victoria was on a soft 7. He was beaten easily by the Astrologist. All his exposure to wet tracks, his form just isn't as good. And they said they're going to run him no matter what. So I was very happy to take on Red Ken Man, given it's probably going to be a heavy 8 there at Caulfield. I think if it's a heavy track, Streets of Avalon won't be running. So maybe there'll be some deductions in this market. I was happy enough to be against Isurian, who's a real fresh horse, and I just didn't think raced to his best first up. The Astrologist is up in the weights off what he's been doing. All his recent forms at Flemington, now got to bring that to Caulfield. Viridine's a Caulfield specialist. He's 2 from 2 at the track and trip. It's a group race, so we might get Group 1 Ollie back. He might just sort of start hitting his straps. He's got a lift, so does Godolphin, but this is a pattern horse, and he's obviously racing very well. I thought he paraded outstanding too, first up. Probably nearly the best I'd seen him recently. He was easily pick of the yard there. So follow my money. Hopefully Ollie can find some form, and he has a very good association with this horse. So I think he should be getting the job done in the Bletchley on the wet.
Yeah, well, that's the sort of lead-up run. I know he said he was back, and if you're on him, it wasn't a great watch. But if it was a lead-up run to this race for him to improve off, that's what you want to see. You know, whereas you said Red Can Man is probably regress, had all favours there up on speed and everything. Ollie was standing up a big start on that thing. So, and what I know is he's a pattern horse. Yeah, won this race last year. Goes wet or dry.
Interestingly, the market wanted to be with him in the Sir John Monash. He was 550 into 370 and just express late. So they could look to find him again there on Saturday on the wet. And I think Red Care Man's got a lot of talent. If this was a good fall, I probably wouldn't be tipping Veridine to beat him. But heavy 8's a completely different ballgame. Then they said they have to run because they need to get a run into him. I just don't think I think he's a few lengths inferior horse on the dry grounds, and that just brings Viridine right into play.
I'll just give a little puntingform.com.au Damien Oliver's stats update. His last 50 rides, he's ridden 3 winners, 6% strike rate there, so it's down from a 15% career average.
That Metro, all rides? That's Zapata, Zidler, and what are the
That's
other
all of it. This is all. And then if we have a look at the ROI based off SP, losing
it's got to be a strip out.
48.8%. And then if you think I'm being too harsh in his recent 50 rides, he's had 8 winners of his last 100 rides at 8%, so he's still down. So a little bit of trepidation if you're backing Oliver runners at the moment. Things just aren't panning out well for Damien at the moment. No personal agenda here, but it's just about
I think it's
tough
got
time.
He's put his eggs in the Godolphin basket.
And they're going no good.
They're not going in. So he needs these sort of horses. He's doing that so he gets on these sort of rides. You know, so he's got to make these count. So I reckon if you're going to be in his corner, this is the reason he's bashing around the slow ones, the Godolphins in the bush, to get on horses like Viridine.
Oh, wow.
You know?
Give him strength, punters. We need him
Nico
back.
keeps finding it, and I just keep playing. It's not going to get any money of mine for a long time, Ollie. We just keep joking about the office. It's funny. He draws inside, he gets into the coffin, and no good at all. So I'll be waiting for Oliver to turn the corner, and I can't fall into that, Nico. All right,
Jay Gatsby. I mean, sometimes you're off. You know. He rode Jay Gatsby. He was home and host, and 40-1. Nico blouses him. So, sometimes stats can be misleading, but could have been a fourth winner there yesterday, but it wasn't. And the stats don't lie, but sometimes you can massage them a bit to your own agenda. Scoop.
Oh, they've got no agenda. I'm just.
Well, how many seconds is his
Well, if
ridden?
you're
How many
backing
seconds
up-
and
if
what
you're-
price were they?
Yeah, but if you're
you can
backing up-
dissect stats a million
You're
different
still
ways.
doing your absolute balls if you've been. If you're an
how many
Ollie
got
lover.
beaten, how many got beaten a pimple?
Yeah,
how
I
many did he
understand that.
slaughter? Like you just, it's all. Sometimes stats you got deep dive.
Well, you can deep dive puntingform.com.au and you can deep dive Hong Kong, Singapore, their benchmarks and their database is exceptional. It's all click of a button stuff. So if you've got a theory, you can even do your own sort of systems based.
I'll be doing a bit of that next week because there's not much else to do. We've got no races. We've got nothing to do. So I'll be
The systems of the grouse.
research and R&D.
and dev. No
Research and dev.
No long lunches either. All right.
No, we probably
Cactus.
We're not coming out on Tuesday. No.
Yeah. You can have what price?
No.
You can have 4-1 here.
I thought we might get to the railway Wednesday, but anyway, it won't be happening.
Lay. Okay, all right. We're going to take a quick break and we're going to have a look at Rose Hill with Mark Lambourne from Racing Rant. Welcome back to Bet Doctor, behind the curtain look at how pro punters operate. I'm your host, Scoot. We've got DK and Nico Noonan.
Warming up in here on a chilly day, Scoop. We're warming up, aren't we?
Yeah, I'm not cold anymore.
No.
We're racing covered, all angles, not scared to talk about anything. And someone who's fearless is Mark Lambourne, joining us from lockdown up in Sydney. I see one of your old mates, Rob Waterhouse, put up evens that the lockdown ends October 1st. Gee, it's bleak up in Sydney. Sir Peter, he's going to have no one on course. Your carnivals for crowds are in dire straits.
Oh, yes, indeed. It is looking that way, Scoot. We've got an entrenched situation here, as in the trenches have been dug and we're stuck in them. So obviously racing will continue, crowdless. That won't make Sir Peter happy, but he'll just have to make the best of it, won't he?
Something else that doesn't make Sir Peter happy is Betfair, but you pushed out an interesting clip the other day. It was a customer that looked like they were trying to have 10,000 on a horse in the Betfair market.
3 seconds to go.
With 3 seconds to go.
And it won.
So
So very interesting. Mark will take us through it, but what his thoughts on it. But
Yeah.
I thought it
What did you
very
make of it?
interesting.
Well, it was only when I observed the BSP of the horse, and BSPs are now almost more important than SPs because they are at least an accurate reflection of buying and selling, supply and demand, BSP being the Betfair starting price. And when I noticed this particular winner, BSP under $7, and I remember watching it sort of trade mid-eights just before the off. So I went back to my recording of the closing betting stages and obviously the race, and I watched what transpired in the last few seconds, and it appeared that someone swooped in and took everything short of $8 down to $7 in the vicinity of around 10,000, or they had 10,000, or they placed an order, a $10,000 order on the horse at anything better than $7, and so that was all scooped up. It didn't appear that they got completely matched. Nonetheless, it was fascinating trading, and of course the horse duly won. So that was pretty thrilling, both in the execution and the denouement.
do you think it's a bookmaker trying to lay off? They've got hooked up with a horse and they're just trying to offload the 10,000. They've got it for too much?
It could be a number of reasons. I just thought if you're a smart punter and want to have 10,000 on ones these days, I mean, where do you go if you don't want to show your hand and all that sort of stuff? I mean, it could be Mark might have a better idea. Maybe the stable, as it happened with the stable before, or things like that, or the jockey, or connections, or a similar horse with a similar pattern. I mean, but I thought, oh, well, if you want to have 10,000 on one these days, you know, a bit late, maybe you dump it on Betfair late, you know. It's
a very odd way. Obviously, I worked for Betfair for about 4 years, and all the smart operators generally trickle their bets through. So if you're going to have a $10,000 bet, it's an odd way to show your hand. If you keep smacking through $10,000 bets, you're going to end up in the poorhouse super, super quick. I'd suggest that the best way to get a big bet on, and it's similar to getting bets on across all the bookmakers, you need to spread it across multiple bookmakers if you want to get down big amounts. Because if you show your hand too quickly, I think everyone will tune into that and they'll just handle your money. Mark?
Nonetheless, with 3 seconds to go, it's a bit
Oh,
hard
well,
to
yeah.
trickle it in. So perhaps that was a situation, as you describe, Dan, that someone needed to lay off very in a hurry, and it was they were, as I said, they were just about to jump. But look, it was fascinating trading. The other thing was that prior to that race, the fence had looked to be the only place to be, and that was the one of the few winners to actually come down the middle.
So yeah, there was a massive tip for it. But yeah, fascinating. The other thing, the invitation has caused a bit of a stir with programming, and I nearly fell off my chair when young Chris Roots wrote a story that was probably up against or at odds with Racing New South Wales, and probably would have rubbed PVL up the wrong way. So, what's your thoughts?
I think that Chris shouldn't be checking his mail for any corporate box tickets.
Yes.
Look, it was very surprisingly brave of him, because no one in the media up here, everyone's very compliant, and they fall into line with the narrative, which is push Sydney and bag Melbourne as much as possible. Look, it's just another throwaway for breeders. I mean, fillies and mares, honestly, we've had the expansion of black type for fillies and mares over the past, well, however long. The patent committee is completely enthralled of Arrowfield and Coolmore and all those enterprises that make lots of money out of lots of fillies and mares getting black type. So it's more of the same. $2 million invitation only fillies and mares race. I think you said it was on Cox Plate Day. Just trying to splinter the talent. Everyone knows, and Chris made it quite clear, that you want to see the best trainers and the best jockeys and the best horses go round on the showcase days, and PVL has spent the last 10 years trying to wreck that situation. Obviously, Melbourne perhaps needed a bit of a shake-up in that they were pretty complacent about the fact that they had the premier event, October, November in Melbourne, but it's just gone way too far, hasn't it? It's just ridiculous.
It won't end. Something else that caught my eye was Mick Kent, and would have rubbed a few up the wrong way about the preparation of 2-year-olds and getting them ready, and the oversupply of stock in breeding. It's definitely something you should have a look at. I think there's it's circulating around Twitter on 927. So Mick obviously, he certainly tells the truth and gives his opinion out, and maybe they don't want to hear it too often, but it's fascinating to hear someone who is a deep thinker and is fearless in their commentary from the racing ranks about the breeding and handling of 2-year-olds. So, yeah, wow. Punters will pick up the bill, and it's just more of this.
Well, just a brief comment on that, Scoot, because obviously we're quite cognizant of horse welfare, because that's become one of the that's part of the zeitgeist, right? So if you were serious about that, you wouldn't do what Sir Peter's done, which is make it illegal to send a horse to the knackery and put money into trying to rehome the huge oversupply of the stock that we've got. You'd actually take some steps to reduce the 12,500 horses that are bred every year, because you'd say, look, this is what we're doing about our welfare problem. We're actually reducing the amount of stock that's around, and that would be a huge help in assisting the problem that we're facing. So thanks to Mick for at least coming out from his perspective, because he will be listened to.
Maybe a bit of functional breeding and having a look at the root cause of the problem rather than put a Band-Aid on right down the track. But that's another story altogether. Let's have a look at Rosehill on Saturday, and let's have a look at the 2-year-old race. Nice little segue in there. Elite Sand and Soil Handicap. Military Expert is the horse that's come up favourite here at $3.40. King of Sparta $5. Crackle that we tipped up last time, bit disappointing. $5.50. Silent Impact $7.50. Coastwatch $9.50. Picarones $9.50, and you can get $14 about Vianello, and much better the rest. The first one that we're going to have a look at is in the China Horse Club Silks. Military Expert down the outside here, Perla.
No, that's King of Sparta down the outside. Military
wrong
Expert is also in the red and yellow, just taking the lead. Well, taking the lead now. It sat outside the lead to that point, And it has to try and King of Sparta's got a full head of steam. He tracked up with cover there and looks set to go straight past Military Expert, who battles on amazingly. It's very hard to pick up from that sort of situation, particularly on the momentum track that is the velodrome of Kensington. So as you can see, just a gallant effort.
Sitting outside the leader there. And then the other one, Sir Crackle. This is the one that you tipped at last time. It had a handful of trials away from its home deck. It's in the purple here, and the wheels sort of spin in the mud with the yellow cap and purple.
Yeah, the white cap there, it sat deep throughout. This was a one-lane highway this day. We've seen Lord Zoolander, who sat in a similar situation to Sir Crackle, turn around a 10-length defeat to win last week at Randwick. And as you can see, Sir Crackle's just boxing on there in the middle of the field now. But you just could not sit wide on this track. It was a disaster. And he's drawn up gate 1 on Saturday. So Sir Crackle will have the chance to show his true wares, unlike a fortnight ago where he was cast.
The other horse that is in the market here, Silent Impact. I'm always wary of Gay Waterhouse taking a runner to a provincial track and then bring him into the metros. A pattern that I used to see when I did some Sydney many, many years ago was Gay would often take a horse that she didn't really like into the metros first up, and it'd start short of the market and it'd flop. But then horses that she took for provincials would often improve into the city. And I know that Chris Waller does it, and I think it's a pattern down here with a lot of good trainers. They take him to the bush for a kill and then bring him into town, and they take the next step. What do you think of a horse like Silent Impact here, Mark?
Okay, so leading all the way at Goulburn, you think, oh, yeah, so what? But there is a line through that race. I Love Lucy started in that race. She actually began her career in the Gimcrack Stakes. So that's the opening race for 2-year-old fillies of the season. And then she also has a line through a horse called Mura Mura, which we've seen a bit of through the city, and even made her way to the Magic Millions. So it's not like there's no depth for the Goulburn race, and obviously drawn low here will scoot through there and be in the van. The rail is out 8 metres at Rosehill, so you won't want to be setting yourself too big a task on Saturday. So certainly Silent Impact, it ticks a number of boxes. It has run into as good a 2-year-old race as you could put together at this stage. And it often happens late July, you've got these 2-year-olds that are trying to get a jump on perhaps the established 2-year-olds of the autumn in preparation for the run to the Golden Rose. So this is a very good race. We've got Military Expert, which you've already mentioned, and we saw boxed on bravely on debut off just the one trial. He's a $1.1 million Annabelle Neesham trained, so headline horse in so many ways. But many will say that results in the sort of spruik that means it's a touch under the odds. And I'd have to say, I think it's about a 7-2 chance. I'd give Sir Crackle another chance because his trials were hot and strong. There's been good form out of his trials. And as I said, he had no opportunity to show his wares on that horrific track a fortnight ago. So he's just posing up behind Silent Impact. Certainly have Silent Impact in the top 4. And the horse that I want you to keep in mind is Coast Watch, which is another expensive 2-year-old. Coolmore, I think that's why James McDonald has been pinned to its back. It's been gelded. It trialled behind Brigantine, who won impressively yesterday, and trialled on the same day as Sir Crackle at Canterbury. And this horse is a definite lurker, and I'd say a single figures chance in this race. But for the record, I've gone 12 Sir Crackle, 6 Military Expert, 4 Coast Watch, 7 Silent Impact. And I do need to turn things around, Scoot, because I think this is my perhaps 4th appearance on this show, and I'm yet to cover myself in any glory. Of course, I may have imparted plenty of wisdom, but haven't actually bottom-lined anything yet.
Limited opportunity and 4 starts isn't enough for the form, but maybe listening to what you're saying there, I think that sounds like a strong 2-year-old race to follow. So make sure the tape watchers out there follow this form in the next couple of starts. And I think Mark's alluded to a good little fact there that a lot of these horses will have a fitness edge over the 2-year-olds. And so horses that are up and running early might be the ones to follow with a couple of starts under their belt and race experience, that's for sure. All right, let's have a look at the 4X Winter Challenge, Race 7. I'm staggered that Sydney can't really find a good beer. Stoneham Wood's about the pick of them, and Tui's New was a blast from the past. Race 7 here, the Winter Challenge over 1,500 metres. It's wide open market here.
Yeah.
And we've backed half the field in the last couple of...
9-horse race, and look at the price there.
Yeah, Kerwin's Lane, $5. Have been on this a few times. Order again, the Scone Cup Nightmare, $5. True Detective, $5. Count of Monte Cristo, $6. Cisco Bay, $6.50. Zegfield, $6.50. Military Zone. Wow, some of these horses just get dizzy. $15. Chief Ironside, $21, and Sambro, $21. Pearl, this is a raffle. Like,
Oh, it's obviously
keep giving
not
you
a
the bad
raffle.
races.
He's nominated. Oh, you've given him the race, have you?
Yeah, I gave him a couple to pick from.
Half a dozen at half a dozen, isn't it? Isn't it fascinating? But you guys see plenty of these races down there. They're exposed horses that once you reach this level, are more convicted than not. So, Count of Monte Cristo, I was giving a bit of a rap to a fortnight ago. That once again, to reiterate, that track was dynamite inside, particularly at this stage because it had started raining mid-program, and the opening favourite Bandersnatch got out to big odds and led all the way. Of course, Ruby Saki was the heavily backed, started like 280 on the fair and duly ran last from an impossible position. So that's your lead up. Out of that race, you have Order Again, which has got a riding change there. Clippo off for Bowman on, that's significant, and had breaks between runs. So this looks a target race. You've got True Detective, who absolutely PR'd in that race sitting box seat. And you've got Count of Monte Cristo and Ziegfeld, who were in the wrong lanes and sort of raced forward and retired. Count of Monte Cristo, it was mentioned to me, or in fact, after I did the segment 2 weeks ago, I noticed that Mark Sheen had said how big in condition this horse was in the June Stakes, and I consulted our mounting yard expert, Glenn Pollitt, the Glenster, who confirmed same. So I'd suggest he probably still needs racing, Count of Monte Cristo. Ziegfeld, the blue colours, Godolphin, impressed me with the way he raced forward in that race, and I think he's got a bit to offer here. But my on-top selection is the different form. It's number 9, Cisco Bay, who's third up here, had his last start at Rose Hill. It was a bit of a separation of the field in that event, and I think the way the race was shaped didn't really favour this horse, and I think third up is worth a ticket here. But it is a fraught race, so I would have said 9 from 4, and certainly the Order Again fans, I certainly wouldn't be jumping off. It looks a primed race for it. The other horse to mention is a horse that's been down to Flemington recently, Kerwin's Lane. Any comment on his performance down there?
Yeah, I thought it was a fair run at Flemington. Looked like he had every chance and just sort of didn't go on with it. It was sort of steady in the market there as well. So I know Walt's got a fair opinion of this horse, and he was tipping him up a few runs ago, but yeah, maybe back to Sydney he can find his best, but I didn't think it was anything to sort of be too pleased about his last start.
Yeah, well, thanks for that, Nico. He is, of course, back to scene of the crime, win 3 starts back, and a drier track. We're probably looking at just a winter good track on Saturday, so that will assist him. He's got to be part of the mix, but I'm away from him. So I'd said 9 from 4 in the Winter Challenge.
So maybe horses down in the weights there. All right, question without notice. One of the TopSport big bets, Mark, is race 6, number 8, Starla from the Chris Waller yard, $1,000 at $6. Have you got to race 6 yet?
Look, I haven't, but we know this horse very well. She's an off pacer that needs everything to go right. She got into a walking small field the other day, which didn't really suit her. Look, she's going to be back in the field on a track that's not going to really suit those sorts of horses. She needs turnstile to really turn it on, and something else to supply a bit more, a little bit of oomph in the race. But I can see that she would have some fans with that rider who will suit her on a drying track, but just a chance.
Nico, is that your bet, or someone who's had it?
I just had a look at a few of the other races on the program. I see race 5 is probably a race will be keenly contested. Harpo Max was a big win last start on a very heavy track, and then I see Smokin' Romans goes up there and gets J-Mac. He's been 390 to 330 with TopSport, so he's been kind of the banner horse at the midweeks for a while, Smokin' Romans. And I did see in the last, this was a horse that really pricked my interest, sort of going back and doing a bit of a review on Sydney a few weeks ago. Madam Legend for the Data Pervs ran some huge last 600-metre sectionals at its last win. Don't know if barrier 16 and being wide on that Rosehill track is going to be suited on Saturday, but it was an enormous win first up. Do you have any thoughts there, Mark? He was definitely one that pricked my interest.
You can spot the single bloke, can't you? He's already gone through nearly every Saturday card. Mate, me and DK, we're in the absolute vice watching The Bachelor. It's fresh hell.
Oh, God. Well, it could be worse. You could be watching The 100, Scoot, which was on at 3 o'clock this morning. They opened with a ladies' game, and my God, what a schmozzle that is. Anyway, race 10, Madam Legend. Okay, so why, if you put the rail out 8 metres, would you start a race from a start that's got less than 200 metres to the turn anyway? I don't understand how race clubs work or programmers work in this way. Look, the field will end up 12. She was dynamic first up on this track, again from a tricky situation. So she's sure to run well again. She's just, I would suggest you wait on her, because you'll need to know the configuration of the field and where she's going to get to.
Outstanding analysis. Thanks, Perla, for joining us. Say g'day to Gordo and Glenster. Can't wait to get to Sydney eventually and catch you guys.
Matty Taylor.
He's bobbing along up there. No, they're all jogging. They're right beside the beach, these boys. They're about within their 5K zone. They've got
putting up. Yeah, that's it. And then people putting up the photos of Coogee and Bondi that in lockdown. Like it's just in lockdown. Business as usual.
They're allowed to play golf. We love Gladys. Makes sense. Fresh air outside in a bit of sun.
I did see that footage of Bondi and wonder whether it came from another time, but it seemed like it might be Victorians just shooting across the bow there.
Who gives a rat's? I joked the other day, and I said to my mates, I went for a swim the other day with my mask on, and some guys actually believe me. It's like poor old Gladys. She can't even drink. How's Gladys going to drink a coffee through the mask? Like, fuck me. Anyway, thanks, Mark. Good luck throughout lockdown, and fingers crossed you guys snap back out of it. But thank God the racing's continuing.
All right, thanks, Scoot, and talk to you soon. See you, DK.
See you, Mark.
See you, Nico.
See you, Mark.
All right, we'll zip through the TopSport big bets, and we'll get off your podcast or your YouTube channel here. We've got race 2, number 9, a Moody Bay, 300 each way at $21. Nico?
Yeah, interesting bet, I'll say the least.
Okay, that's it's a no. Race 5, number 5, Chassis, $1,008.
Oh, she's in form. She's a mare on the back
on the other day.
She's won. I think she's on 2 of her last 3, so maybe.
Race 9, number 6, Zesty Bell, $2,000 at $4.
Yeah, I could come in here. I thought of the other horses on the program at Caulfield, aside from Viridine, this is probably a horse you could have a look at. Opperman Sticks gets down to 52 kilos. Actually, probably won't actually. think it'll stay with 54 because you can't claim that much. But she looked like she had improvement first up in the yard, and I could definitely come in there for sure.
We've covered Starla, race 6, number 8 at Rose Hill, and a horse that we probably should have asked Bagman about was Morphettville, race 8, number 3, Raisin Army. It's 100 each way at $91 now into about 20 or 30 to 1. So someone's had a bit of a spec there. So make sure you jot those down and follow those. But I think that's a wrap for us. It feels like we've been here for about 4 hours.
Big show.
Good show. Good show. Oh, it's a lockdown show. People are bored shitless. So
that's right.
Hopefully we've given them some ammunition. Make sure you get around topsport.com.au this week. It's going to be big spring for those guys, and it's going to be big spring for puntingform.com.au. So if you're sitting at home and you want to improve your game, make sure you check out them, our major sponsors, Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple, YouTube is where you find us, and we'll be back next week. We're going to have the week off, but if everyone's stuck at home, we'll be spearing in. We'll keep going.
We'll keep going, yeah.
Going gets tough. We'll keep going.
Mildura, Warwick, Nabil, me, so hopefully before we have a break, so they're 3 of my joints, so hopefully we got one today at Cranbourne, which we'll be cheering hard for, so DK out wide. Give it strength.
And race by race, you'll get Nico at Mildura. So he's just starting to light up. He's not kicking them out the full. He's kicking barrels from 60, and they're going straight through the sticks at double figure odds. So long may it continue, and good luck on the punt. And make sure you keep your head before spring. See you guys.